gracious. Good day, everyone. This is Jann Arden, and you're listening to the Jann Arden Podcast and Show. This is a particularly fantastic, special podcast to start Season 5, ladies and gentlemen, of the Jann Arden Podcast. The first season had about 300 episodes, and then we finally we honed it in. Anyway, I'm not at home. I'm here in Toronto. We are in Jax Irwin's studio.
Hello.
In her home. I'm here with Caitlin Green. Caitlin is not in her home.
Hello. I'm not far from my home.
You're not. And Sarah Burke is sitting on the floor.
Yes, she is.
Yeah,
Hi,
there
Sarah.
she is.
Do you want a chair?
Okay. No, she's young. I can sit cross-legged for about 10 seconds, and then I really can't feel my neck or my shoulder. Something happens.
Sarah does CrossFit. She's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I do cross-stitch. See, that's the difference in our ages. Jax Irwin intro. Here we go. Okay. Media personality, host, digital creator, and mayonnaise enthusiast. We got to talk about that. You are from Nova Scotia. I'm telling you things that you already know, but I'm going to tell you these things.
Yes. Yeah.
You hail from Nova Scotia, but you call Toronto home. Hello, home. Hello, Toronto. You were on Toronto's former morning show.
I was, yes.
For Virgin Radio Toronto.
Virgin Radio. The Social, your morning, or your most recent digital hit is called East Coast Cold Calls, which is different than East Coast Cold Cocks, which is not something that any of us do.
It's slightly different.
It's not. I'm not known to be into that series personally. Yeah.
No, I'm a cock blocker myself.
Okay.
And
a girl.
And a crock blocker, apparently. You know, Crocs apparently stop people from having sex as well.
Oh.
Wear the Crocs, you're not going to get any
croc block.
action.
I wear
a
Crocs.
croc block.
Okay.
You guys have that in common.
And you've probably seen Jax Irwin's social media posts on TikTok, Instagram, and you are our guest today, so welcome. Tell me everything.
Thank you. I mean, you nailed it all on the head. Like I love mayonnaise and I don't like cocks. So there you go. I mean, like, no. Wow, really hard.
It's true.
Came in fast and hard there.
No,
okay.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and I've been a media personality. I've been in radio and television traditionally for over 10 years, and then a couple of years ago, I just kind of switched and transitioned into more digital, and I still eat mayonnaise on and off the air. Yeah.
You know, Hellman's makes a great vegan mayonnaise. So Hellman's, I'm telling you right now, if you need to sponsor a podcast, we could have Jax on to talk about. I want you to try Hellman's vegan mayonnaise sometimes. You won't know. You won't miss the eggs.
No, I'm down. Hellman's anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jax has rubbed herself in mayonnaise on more streets of Toronto than I think almost anyone else I know.
I don't want to. I don't like that. You know that.
Is that a true story?
It is.
What does that even mean? Is it sunscreen? Tell me something I'm missing here.
I mean, it's not sunscreen.
It makes the body. It doesn't make the body feel bad. I'll say that, and it's great for hair.
I have heard that about mayonnaise in your hair. Well, listen, if you didn't think you were going to be learning something as far as skincare today,
It's a beauty podcast.
You're still not, because I don't think it's working. So right out of the gate, we have something in common, and I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Sobriety.
Yes.
So I'm 62. I quit drinking at the end of my 53rd year. I had stopped a couple of times in my life. In my 20s, I went from my late 20s to my early 30s. There was about 6-7 years I didn't drink. And then, of course, I thought I was cured. And I thought, I'll just have a glass of red wine with my girlfriend at the time. And that just didn't work out well. Then, a decade went by. And then I stopped again for like 2 or 3 years. So it's really been a cyclical problem for me. But now I really am done.
Yeah.
I'm coming up, 10 years. And I want you to tell me a little bit about your alcohol journey, a little bit. And you don't have to answer anything you don't want to answer. But I do want to know everything. And I'm gonna just keep nattering at you until you tell me what's up. So you quit drinking how many years ago?
I just celebrated 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good for
In
you.
November, and I couldn't, I couldn't not drink for a week, or a couple days, and I'm from the East Coast, very interesting and complex relationship with alcohol to begin with. You drink to celebrate, you drink to grieve, you drink when you're happy, you drink when you're sad. And I come from a family with a lot of alcoholism in it. So I was really set up for success. So I it's all or nothing for me. I can't just have one drink, and I don't drink just to have one drink, and that's not the way I've really ever done it. And I lost my dad in 2018, and grief will do some wild things. And my drinking was just kind of my escape to that. And I had a very problematic, but like troublesome relationship with alcohol beforehand. I used it to escape, and it's like, that's what you do. And I was trying with everything I had in me to escape back in 2018. So I was, I was sad, I was mad, and people I loved, friends, family, partners, I was letting them all down. And, I don't want to be a lovely and happy and kind person, 95% of the time, and then be a goblin. So yeah, like but it was the dance of moderation. I was like, well, what if, maybe I can just have a couple? I can't.
Yeah.
Maybe I can what if I go a year and then don't have a drink? I can't. Like I can't drink. And once I accepted that, it was really helpful.
What was the day? What was the last time? I mean, without going into specifics, but did you wake up one morning and go, holy fuck, that is that. I need to get help. I need to stop. I need to do something. I need to change this.
The last day I took a drink, my partner at the time, I let her down so completely, and jeopardized our relationship time and time again. And she was so generous with, her love and her patience and her support. And she had enough, and she had enough from me. So, and that was one of many straws, and she wanted to break up. And I think that was the first time that I looked at myself and I was like, who are you becoming? And I had a great group of sober friends and like a community of recovery. And that's when I started going into the recovery community.
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I couldn't look at myself anymore. And it's like, who's this for? Like, you're letting everybody down. And I just
also to know you personally. So like to know Jax from like working with her a bit and then getting to know her and feeling like you said, you're 95% the nicest person you could ever meet. You're so sweet.
I love the percentage. 95%, you are good.
Yeah.
But the 5% goblin will it's like, it's not actually who you are. It's so not in line with your values and your identity when you're sober. You're like, why am I hanging on to this?
And one of the biggest things, like the last day I took a drink when I woke up and that hangover, and I was like, my dad would be and it makes me want to cry. My dad would be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jann, don't come in my house and then I cry. Like, we're talking about mayo, and now I'm talking about my alcohol problem and my dead dad. You are a wizard. You're a feelings wizard.
My dad is also dead.
Yeah.
And he handed me alcoholism like a $20 bill.
Oh, God, yeah.
He was a very, very difficult person to grow up with. And I always thought, I won't be an alcoholic if I don't drink rum. Like, it was such a weird thing.
Like, you're like, here's my line.
Yeah.
I just can't be Captain Jack Sparrow.
It. Yeah. I never touched. I wasn't Jack Sparrow. And it's so funny. That was my thing. But I didn't have a drink of choice. Did you have a drink of choice?
I would drink anything. Everyone was like, what did you like to drink? And I said, like, whatever was cheapest and whatever was available. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm
gin and Coke is not good.
Gin and Coke. I say I don't like Kahlua. Would I drink it in a pinch? Probably. Like,
I got drunk one night many years ago on Sambuca.
Oh my God.
No. I was drinking it in a beer mug filled with crushed ice.
Oh, God.
I was so sick. And I did that for years, like the hangovers. It's amazing what you will, like if I didn't drink for 3 weeks, then I was fine. I didn't drink for the 3 weeks. Well, as you get older, and I'm quite a bit older than you, the recovery takes longer and longer. So I was drunk once a week for sure. And then really in recovery for 5 days. And then I'd finally start feeling better. And when I was feeling almost good again, then I was on a chair.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like you forget about how much, you forget about how brutal it is that those hangovers are. As soon as
you think you're going to die, then you have anxiety.
The anxiety.
The shame,
anxiety,
the shame, the guilt, the fear. Like, it was paralyzing. And I just started doing Virgin Mornings, and I was like, this is my dream job. I've worked my entire life. And then I was like getting anxious. I'm like, who did I see? And I was like, this is how I'm going to ruin everything. So
Oh,
No more, Jann.
Well,
no more, Caitlin.
Virgin Radio, you got the perfect job. You're working with a young fella named Adam
My
Wild.
husband.
Your radio husband. Like, do you audition for pairings like that for morning radio? Because obviously there's got to be some magic. You know that.
I don't, because I just stumbled into my job ass backwards and
She always
then
says
never
that.
left. It's true though.
But they couldn't. She became invaluable. That's
Yeah.
the thing to do.
Debatable.
You don't just stumble in and stay. You can stumble in and they'll let you go real quick. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and you stayed, and the chemistry on that show was
Oh my
amazing.
God.
You guys were so good.
Oh, so much fun.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah. And that is really it. It's like chemistry. That's really what it is. Coming in, having fun every morning. And I was down the hall from Jax's studio with Adam. The laughs you would hear. And Marilyn would like to leave our studio door open for like a cross breeze, she would call it. But we couldn't because of how loud they were laughing. We'd pick it up on Chum.
It's like it's guttural. His laugh is guttural, and I love it. It's hypnotizing. Yeah, yeah.
But
no,
do you audition for something like that? What do
No.
you, so you're doing a morning show on one of the biggest stations in the city. So how do they know that your rapport is going to work? I was going to say repertoire, which is also true.
Yeah, we had worked together. Adam and I both came. I got the job at Kiss 92.5 with Rogers. That's how I came to Toronto. And Adam was the afternoon guy, and I was the midday girl. And we didn't cross paths a ton, like with the show a little bit, but we became friends. A few years in, and we had wonderful chemistry anyways. And so when they were building the new morning show on Virgin, it was my old program director, and she knew that we had kind of a vibe together. And then we started doing recordings and, sessions together and coaching and stuff like that. And it just gelled. I think sometimes you do have to audition together. And then the third little magical piece was TJ, our third person, and the three of us together. It just it made so much sense. So yeah.
And you guys started filming your show pretty early on. So, you had a lot of viral moments over the years of conversations that you guys had. You guys were always very, very open. I mean, Adam went through a divorce, you being a queer person in the queer community. So, I mean, the conversations that you had weren't always these mainstream conversations.
Yeah.
They were conversations that took you outside of maybe what your listenership was. Although Virgin Radio is a bit of a younger demo than C8, than Chum.
So like of the Bell Media portfolio, it was very much that Virgin was younger and then Chum was a little bit older. And there was definitely listener crossover for sure.
Chum was the boss and Virgin was the rowdy teenager in the back. Chum was bringing it in.
But were you guys surprised by some of the? I know you got letters. I know you got a lot of feedback via email or text or whatever it is. People writing into the station on some of the things that you were talking about. And this is morning. People are getting out of bed. They're having their coffee. They're in their car, and you guys hit on. I mean, it was funny, but there was also some moments that were pretty emotional.
When we started the show, it was 13 months before the pandemic started.
Son of a bitch.
So we were thrown.
You were just getting going.
We were thrown into this world where we were so lucky because the level of intimacy that we were able to have with our listeners was so different because we were updating and learning while we were updating. The world was, in crisis, and it created this level of intimacy and trust with our listeners that we were really lucky about. And I mean, my biggest goal in radio in general was just to get maybe a job on C100 in Halifax, and then after that,
C100.
I love C100.
I love C100.
Legendary C100.
They're fantastic.
Anything after that was oh my goodness. So the fact that I could talk on morning radio in Toronto about being a queer woman who has any issues going on
4
in
nipples.
general. It's 7 nipples and a mayo
the
addiction.
extra nipples.
Yeah.
But it was so cool, and we got messages and emails and stuff, and folks have been so nice, and a lot of them have followed Adam and I, and I don't know, I'm just incredibly grateful for it. So yeah.
Did you ever have imposter syndrome? Because we've talked about that a little bit too.
Oh,
where
yeah.
We get into these places in our lives and we feel like they're gonna get on to me. They're gonna figure out that I am not qualified for this. Did you ever feel that way?
All the time. I feel it all the time. It's subsiding a bit, but I still have it all the time. And I'm do they know? Do they know that they've made the wrong choice? And there was certain points in my career, especially doing mornings, where I was reminded, you are not the traditional choice. I'm a mask presenting queer woman. And not often. I had a lot of wonderful support at Bell, and like folks were really nice. But like sometimes throughout my career over the decade, people were reminded like, but be very grateful for where you are. Like you're lucky. And it was like, so I couldn't sometimes decipher like, am I here because of hard work or am I here because I'm lucky? And that's where the imposter syndrome sneaks in.
Well, you're always going to have some dickweed reminding you that, you know what?
Yeah.
You're pretty fortunate to be in the position
Don't
that you're
you
in.
forget, yeah.
Do women do that to men? I don't think so.
I'm going to start going around telling men
But
you're lucky.
I just don't think women have that conversation. I don't think they ever go up to him. Don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're pretty lucky to be in the position you're in. I came across, and I posted it on my story. Sorry, I'm saying 19 sentences at once. I came across an Instagram story, and I posted it today, actually, or maybe late last night. I don't even know what day we're on. I've just come from England. Where are we? Who are you? What are you doing here? Why do I have this toilet paper in my hand? Anyway, and it was this little clip. It was obviously a funny parody on how men talk to women in bars. And the subheading was, what if women talk to men the way they talk to women in the bars for the pickup thing? Mm-hmm. I just was looking at, this guy's at a bar and he's reading a book. And this woman comes up to him and says, what are you reading? Oh, a psychology book. So are you a student? Anyway, where it went from there, let's see that smile. Or it was so uncomfortable to see this very beautifully dressed woman who was obviously in her 40s talking to this guy kind of in this way. I don't know how we got there, but I'm just saying when people say those things to you.
Yes, yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And it's a control thing, and it's also like a fear thing, I think, too, right? It's like, yeah.
But to keep you in your place, just as a reminder, no matter how successful you get, you're going to have somebody telling you, oh.
Hey, don't, yeah. So, and that's either my own brain or somebody, in the business, right?
Yeah.
So
I was sent to vocal classes because everyone was like, well, you don't have like a traditional radio voice.
What?
Because my voice is deep. And so
I love your voice.
Thanks, Jax.
Love your voice, man.
But I remember that being, presented to me as one of the many hurdles, in addition to having like brown hair and glasses, about like me being on the air because I didn't start on the air. And so it was like, I have to, go to vocal lessons. I have to like go do all this stuff. And I remember even feeling at that point, like I was like, okay, because I'm not presenting as like a weather girl, this is going to be a problem for me. Like you're filling a little niche here, but you're only ever going to go this far. I was like, oh, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your talent. Nothing to do with your talent.
So when you're in the dream job, you guys are doing morning radio on Virgin, you're having a great time. You basically have a TV show because there's multi-cameras going on. You're, doing all this stuff. Now you're making a decision to move away from that and to do something entirely differently in the digital world. So I can't even imagine what that thought process is like.
Yeah, terrifying. It's terrifying. I guess that's not a thought process. That's just an overall
terror?
word. Just terror. No, terrifying and exhilarating. And I mean, I've been getting, I'd had a job, whether it was Sobeys or radio or, random little jobs. I'd had a paycheck every 2 weeks since I started working. So the idea of not having that security blanket, I guess, was terrifying. And there was a lot of different things kind of going on. The show was going in a different direction for the morning show. And I had some options to stay in a different capacity. And I don't think, what I did, I said to myself, I was like, I didn't get sober to be small, and I did. I hadn't really said.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I hadn't
Let's
really
make T-shirts.
I hadn't said yes to myself in that way in a long, long time, and like been like, instead of what's the worst thing that could happen, what's the best thing that could have happened. At the time I was about to get married.
Jesus.
Yeah, like I had all of these like financial ties that like. On paper, it wouldn't have been a good idea for me to go freelance, but I was like, you know what? I've been broke before. Like I can figure it out, and I just wanted to see what was on the other side. So that's a really long way of saying that I was terrified, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah,
yeah, and knock on I don't know if this is real, but yeah.
Facebook, whatever it's called.
Marketplace would. It's worked out really well, but I didn't get sober to shrink. I was already shrinking when I was drinking. So that one's
Well, listen, Anthony Hopkins. No, Anthony.
It was Hopkins. I saw this today on your IG.
Okay, so Anthony Hopkins, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but he just announced that he's been sober for 46 years.
No way. And he's never talked about that.
And I knew that he was sober. I didn't realize it was that long.
I didn't know that.
But he literally said one day at a time.
Yeah.
Which sounds like such a cliche, and it just makes people mad. But it's true. You just deal with the moment.
Yep.
You don't deal with 2 weeks from now. And he's just like, it's the best thing he ever did. He said he'd be long since dead.
Mm-hmm. Life on
You know,
life's
if he
terms.
kept going.
Yeah.
I definitely would be dead. But anyway, I digress. Caitlin is now going to speak to these crazy, wonderful, magical, hysterical East Coast cold calls.
Okay, so again, if you don't already follow Jax on social media, you need to, because her social media game is very, very good. And you've always been like a person who I feel like leads with lulls. Like, you're very funny and like charming and warm and welcoming. That's the Maritimer in you. And I lived in Halifax for a few years. My husband's from Halifax.
You're a Maritimer.
am.
I forget that you're not sometimes because I feel like you're a Maritimer. Yeah.
And my dad's from PEI, so I get it. And it's this gift of chat. So you turned the gift of gab that all Maritimers naturally have into this idea to call random phone numbers in the Maritimes and record it and just see how long they would stay on the phone, on the line with you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, well, we'll just see.
Yeah, and I've been asked, like, how did this come about? And I want to have like a much more like polished or like concise story, but I literally I saw some TikTokers that they do prank calls, and I've always liked prank calls, but I don't like the joke being at somebody's expense. I love self-deprecating humor. I love dry humor, but I don't like when somebody doesn't know what's going on or somebody doesn't understand, you know, what the butt of the joke is. So. And that's mostly what the prank calls online were. So I actually called an East Coast, like a business. I looked up the Yellow Pages, and I called, but I felt bad because like they were busy, you know. Like I was talking, and they're like, "What do you need, darling?" Because like they want to help, but they've like it was a Tim's on Sackville Drive.
No way.
Yeah, and then I was like, "Oh, I can't even do this. I don't have the guts to do this. Like, buck up." But then the other it was like yellowpages.ca or one of those things, and it had like a little button to go to the white pages. So I clicked on the white pages, and then I think I called somebody random in Sydney. And I didn't even know what was going to happen, but she didn't ask who it was. So we just kept talking, and I was like rolling. I was filming and recording it. And then she told me all about her basement and all about her sump pump.
Got a few of those.
You know, she said who she's going to see, and she said it's been pouring outside. And then it was just...
It's like rain and buckets.
Yeah. And then I posted it, and like there was no like what I'm trying to say is there was no big plan behind this. It just was like I was calling somebody, like it sounded like my Nana.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's kept going.
Do you think it's a bit of a conversation about loneliness and people's perhaps need to have someone to talk to?
Mm-hmm. I think it's
because I'd just be hanging up. Listen, you got the wrong number. I would never be part of something like that. I just know, but it does make me wonder what keeps people on a line. You're not asking for money.
Nope.
You're not saying, give me your credit card information. You're not saying, listen, you need to deposit $500 in Western fucking Union. You're literally just having a conversation. When people stay on the line like that and they're willing to give information, it certainly is a statement about what's happening to us as a community of people.
And it's like, you know, because people say, they're like, how do they not ask who you are? Let's be clear. Like, if I make 20 calls, 19 of those people have asked. But the second that they ask, who is this? I'm like, oh, sorry, is this not Paula? And then I'll be like, oh, shoot, okay, sorry about that, got the wrong number. And they're like, not a problem, darling. And they're still nice.
And you're still nice. And they're not the brunt of the joke.
Exactly. And I don't want to, like, as we all, like you just mentioned, there's scams. I'm not out to frig with anybody, right? Like, I don't want to, but I think it's a bigger theme of connection. And I think that especially just having a warm, because I'm not asking for any information, like, you know, did you see the snow that came down last week? They're like, yes, my God, like they're excited. It's just connection. And a lot of people say, like, oh, they must be so lonely. I don't know if they're lonely or just sweethearts.
That's what I think.
I think that I don't even think they're lonely sometimes. I think that they're just kind. Or sometimes they're like, is this Brenda? And they're too proud to be like, yeah.
Kind of a little confused.
Yeah.
I feel like an average Maritimer with a landline.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get. There's
God.
solid chance you're going to get that. In Toronto, like 416, I don't think so. But when I go out east, that really is the vibe. And people are down to chat.
Yeah. Oh.
And I think that's why people like watching it, is because it's like, it's kind of nice.
It's nice. And it's like, it's nice to show off the Maritimes too, because my God, like, the world may be garbage sometimes, but like you can count on like somebody in Amherst looking to talk, like it's
true.
I was in Cape Breton. And
God.
I was staying, this is years and years ago, very, very early 90s, probably my first record. And I was doing a promo junket, and we stayed at a little Cape Breton place. And in the morning, my manager and I at the time were going to do morning radio. And so they had organized a taxi to pick us up at this hotel and bring us into wherever we were going. And so this woman picked us up, and she was having a cigarette, and she had the window cracked, and that was fine.
Having a dart in the car.
I
Let's
used to
go.
smoke.
Yeah.
No, I smoked back in the day. And anyways, we went for quite a while. I'm going to say like 20, 25 minutes, and I'm looking, and the meter's not running. And I'm like, it's got to be a flat rate from where we are.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything because she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And we got there, and I said, oh, how much do we owe you? Oh, no, that you're fine. You were right on my way to going to work. And I'm like, isn't this your work? Like, and she said, no, it's on my way to starting my day in town. Yeah, oh, no, I'm just picking you up on the way. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And we literally threw $40 in the back seat.
Salt of the earth.
Well, maybe it was $2, but we did throw some money in there.
Salt
we
of the earth.
insisted that she take some money.
Yeah, and there's a lot of darkness out there, and I think just highlighting some of the warm, sometimes like those warm interactions where people are just being kind to each other is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. Whether you throw a toonie or a 20, whatever you're throwing at them.
We were throwing nickels and dimes at her.
Pennies back then. No.
It's a real Cape Breton memory for me of just how earnest she was, and just matter of fact. No, I literally had to go buy this hotel for me to go to my job.
You were on the way. Let's go.
It's exactly, let's go.
Well, also because you slip into the East Coast accent really easily.
Yes.
And so I think that they assume, I'm talking to a local or maybe someone's kid who I've met or who knows. And so it keeps going on and on. It's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving conversationally.
I pretend that they're one of my aunts. And then I think that they pretend I'm somebody at the superstore. And then we're just talking. And what are you doing today? Oh, no, stop. You're trouble. The ladies of the East Coast love to be called trouble. Once you're not getting into any trouble, are you? They're, stop it. Maybe a bit. What are you going to do about it? Like, they're wild. Yeah. You're another world.
I mean, our prank calls in the 70s were like, is your refrigerator running? Well, you better go catch it. That's the kind of arseholes.
Oh, now it's a whole business.
We were.
Yeah.
No, I mean, TikTokers, there's a lot of pages dedicated to calling people and just getting them on the phone and seeing what happens. Whenever I stumble across the lives, there's some pretty outlandish characters.
There's one.
The lady that talks in the really low voice with the wig.
She's incredible. Have you ever seen her not dressed up?
She's very cute.
She's very, very beautiful. She does that voice by sucking in her. She talks like that. Yeah, and she sounds like this old woman from Alabama. Have you ever seen? I forget her name. I'm blank. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
She puts on like a mullet, and she sounds like she smoked 80 darts. She's incredible. She's so funny. I like her. There's another TikToker I like, but sometimes he pretends that he knows the people, which I don't like. It's like, like gaslight call.
Well, we're all questioning our sanity these days. I'm standing in my closet once a week wondering why I'm there.
Yeah.
Am I packing a suitcase? Am I going somewhere?
Where am I going?
Yeah.
Was I looking for the dog?
And
why
now
do I
you're
have
here.
a sandwich in my hand?
And now you're here.
And now you're here.
Yeah.
Is this real or a dream?
I don't even know how I got here.
in this purple East End room.
I like it. It's very chic.
Thank you.
It really is. When we got here today, I'm not going to lie, there was a very young woman in here steaming the curtain behind Jax. She was steaming a curtain. And I'm like, when I walked in, I'm like, Jax Irwin has a team of 5 women that are running her empire. It was very impressive. And There's so many snacks downstairs. There's Oreos, there's nachos, there's some kind of gummy bear with
Sour
sugar
Patch
on them.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ate a lot of those.
Listen, okay, first of all, I had to get the goods.
God damn it.
Sarah's off camera telling you to sit.
You know what's nice? You know what's nice about this, though? People can see with their own eyes. Because I canceled shows like
She's
9
struggling.
days ago. I canceled 2 shows.
And you never
I have
cancel.
canceled
It's true.
5
Yeah.
shows in 35 years.
That's crazy.
I was so sick. I don't know how I got through Brandon and Saskatoon. It's like a dream to me that I was out there singing, and I kept apologizing to people. I'm just like, I'm really sorry. Rather than cancel, I thought we just would get through this together. There was so much shame and so much embarrassment.
Oh,
I don't know how I got through it. And I was literally crying going home from Saskatoon because we flew home on a little plane. The reason we flew is just so that I could have a day off. There was one day off between the Calgary shows. And, when you cry, it just makes things worse.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was just crying out of sheer frustration of getting through 6 weeks and then getting a cold and thinking I could get past it. And the day before, I pulled the trigger and but there's so many things that have to happen to cancel a show.
yeah.
There's so many people involved. There's so many things that have to happen. The refund policy, if you're going to keep your ticket, we've actually, given people 3 options. This has nothing to do with me. This is what management does. This is the emergency stuff they go into. And Bruce, my manager, Bruce Allen, called me and he said, this is what we do. And he said, we make it work. And, you come first and your health and well-being comes first. Because I'm not one of those people that takes that lightly. Like, I just don't.
That's so interesting though that you get shame and guilt. Like,
Oh, shame.
You
I was
literally
so ashamed.
You sing like you need like that's your tool, and you're like, I gotta get through this, fight it, come on, combat. Like that's like you have to.
are in combat mode.
Yeah.
And adrenaline can do so much, like when you get out there, but I had no upper range and I was kind of
No,
cheating
girl,
it.
yeah.
And in rehearsals, we were trying to figure out how I could sing them in a different way, but I could hardly get a
Yeah.
breath to do it. And then the last night, I literally felt something go ping kind of in my throat. And I thought, no, this is where it stops. But it maybe it's part of what women do as well, is like constantly, trying to prove ourselves
Yeah.
and to just not let anybody down. Like, I'm not a mom, but I can imagine what women go through to make sure it's the perfect Christmas day, to make sure that this goes right.
Nobody
and
see you
meanwhile,
struggle,
they're
yeah.
getting smaller and smaller
Yeah.
and sicker and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. My mom never used to eat. Christmas dinners, I remember my mom for 25 years. I will. I
Yeah.
just want to, what are we missing? Oh my God, there's green. I knew there was a green bean casserole in the microwave. And then she'd be sitting there by the sink eating this dinner. And I wish I could go back in time and fucking do a goddamn dish for her or be more helpful. But she martyred herself the whole time I was growing up.
Yeah. Everybody else first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking to Jax Irwin. I just want to make sure everyone knows who we're talking with today. Media sensation.
Media.
And-
Thank you, Jann Arden.
no, I'm telling you. How old are you? 31?
No.
33?
No.
34? You don't even have to
Okay,
tell me.
36.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for saying I'm 31.
36. I was such a train wreck at 36.
You always say this.
I was.
Jan makes Sarah and I feel better about our lives all the time.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, what you all are doing?
Yeah.
I was an absolute. Do you remember that movie Runaway Train when they're like losing fingers in between trying to unhook them and it's just going to speed off into the oblivion? That was me at 36.
Well, you fooled me. I thought you would have had it
fooled
together by
everybody.
36.
No.
Really?
No,
Singing
God.
insensitive? Good mother, come on.
Yeah, I'm like,
I don't know.
rock star, superstar. Runaway train.
That's right, Jax. Rock star, superstar.
I want to know.
She has so many. I know. I can look at her and just know.
I'm just going like this. No, because I know Jax, so I feel like I have like a pretty like I've got my solid background knowledge of Jax, but I want to know what your advice would be to baby Jax. So if you had to like look back in time,
Jax.
yeah, what are you telling sweet baby Jax?
Stop drinking.
So
No,
okay,
no.
yeah, no.
That's one. That's one thing, though. Don't start.
Yeah, don't start drinking. Oh my God, that's really hard. And that's like such like a, a beautiful and like seemingly sweet question, but
It's hard.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, drinking can be your.
Yeah,
Don't
but
get
also,
in that.
but also, I don't regret the past because
Yeah.
I also wouldn't know, like, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I have, or I also maybe wouldn't have known that I can't drink. Like, if I didn't drink as much, I wouldn't have quit drinking until I was in my 50s. Also, so I don't want to regret anything. No, hello. But you had stopped before that too. You
But
were
off and
yeah.
on, my God, swinging on that rope is not fun.
No, the back and forth, the
It's
dance of
hey,
moderation.
you're so disappointed in yourself. So kudos to you. I'm telling you,
Well-
you're light years ahead.
But one day at a time. You never know what. No, I'm not going to make any weird dark jokes. Okay, no, I'm going to stay sober today.
The one thing I know is I'm never safe from it. So I never let my guard down.
No.
Ever. I ask if there's alcohol in desserts.
Yeah, like tiramisu.
Yeah,
is it?
yeah,
Listen,
tiramisu
when
has
they're
it.
lighting fucking cakes on fire
No,
at the table, I'm like, what the fuck is on there? And they're like, no, all the alcohol burns away. I'm like, no, I think I'll pass.
I love when somebody's like, "Well, you can have a sip," and I'm like, "Oh, do you want me to ruin your night? Like, do you want? I'll ruin your
So
life.
you're
Yeah.
so not yourself.
No.
I don't know who walks into your body as a drunk person, but it is
the
like
Jekyll and Hyde.
liquid mysticism, and it is just like a portal into a realm of hell.
Yeah, and I like saying, they say, "Oh, the truth comes out when you're drunk." No, it doesn't. I would just say things that, like, and I've said hurtful or angry things to people that I don't mean. Like, that's not what I think in my conscience. It's just like whatever will get you going,
Yeah.
and that's not who I want to be. So now
Well,
I
it's a
drink
depressant.
lattes.
I think that's the other thing to remember. It's
Yes.
like it's a real substance. It's a depressant.
Yeah.
It's designed to bring you to a dark place
Yeah.
and like keep you there for as long as your hangover lasts. And as you age, that's longer and longer. So I kind of get it.
Listen, I can get myself into a dark place without alcohol. Okay, let's just.
I'm in a
on my
very
own.
dark place right now.
No,
No,
we're
I'm
together.
not. I'm just
But advice to my younger self. I'll
Sorry.
loop
Oh,
it
yeah,
back.
here we go.
Jax, baby
Full
Jax.
circle
Making dark-
moment here.
Baby
Advice.
Jax, I would say, live free and like laugh a little bit more. Like, because I always, I think I'm learning to be softer and sillier as I get older. And now those are parts that I didn't like really nourish or like didn't think that were good parts. And I want to be soft and I want to be silly and I want to be more open and not closed. And I want to live lighter. And I think I was pushing all that down for a long time and just be silly. I don't know. Life's short.
It's so funny knowing you because it's like that seems to me very how you are, but it obviously takes a long time to get there, to be comfortable with that part of yourself and to, like you said, nourish that part of yourself.
It does, but it's also it's a mask. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like I want to use it as a way of living and not just a mask
Yep.
now, right? Because those are like the parts that I like in myself. And those are a lot of parts that I liked my dad. And like my dad was very soft. So yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
the fact that you are saying the words out loud is a triumph. Because just getting to the point in your life as a young human being to say things out loud takes an incredible amount of vulnerability. And I love the idea of, strength. People think it's all about this muscling up, but it is a softness. Strength is vulnerability. And I just really admire you for that. You should be really proud of yourself because you're just getting going. I say this to these girls all the time, is that I didn't really even become a person, a formed critical thinking person, I don't think till I was in my late 40s, maybe even 50. And I know that's an easy thing for me to say at 62, but I also remember being your age and just, you guys are just so, women these days are so mighty. And I think you guys have created space for each other, that you can have good friends that can absorb your fears and absorb your shortcomings and your failings. And I think women have come a long way from the pettiness of, enjoying seeing people down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that office mentality sometimes. But you obviously have really good friends, and that's a triumph too.
I'm surrounded by wonderful, especially wonderful women. And I think like I don't want to have I don't want to have simple, airy conversations. I want to connect with women and I want to talk and I want to have, like, when I ask you how you are, I want to know how you really are. And I don't want, there's this beautiful depth, that I have with you and like the women that are in my house and even Sarah on the floor. No, You don't want a chair. All right. She is cross-leg fit over here.
I
There
know.
you go.
Why don't you have another beer?
Yeah. Could do it all. But I want to have depth in my friendships and my relationships now. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Caitlin had a fantastic idea going into season 5 of our podcast. And we are probably going to wrap up each episode with this kind of a question. And I'm going to just hand it over to Caitlin because I think it's a great idea. And I think we want to spend 2025 helping people, lifting them up a little bit, getting them over the humps, certainly talking about our screw ups and, you know, what massive like accidents that we are having emotionally. But I think this is a good way to kind of go into the last part of our podcast.
Yeah, when we're not having emotional accidents, I would generally be curious to know how you recharge.
Like, what do you do for yourself to find
Self-care,
Yeah.
I walk, and it's like I've always liked walking. I love walking through nature, but I really like walking around the city, and it got a little out of control during the pandemic. I would just like walk and film different garbage, and I would make content. I'll show you later. But I love.
I look
walking.
forward to it.
I love walking, and I don't like to bring headphones. I want to hear it all, and
And you've carried that on now.
I do it. Yeah, I walk every day. And like water in any form to me is recharging. And I think that's like an ocean thing. So like, you're either going to judge me or love this. Like I do cold plunges sometimes down in the East End.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're a plunger.
I
know this.
Her face just went.
No. I just feel like people could have a heart attack. Like the science is very wishy-washy on the cold plunges. I'm just going to say that this is not a science program.
I don't want to die in Lake Ontario.
but,
God, Jann Arden.
I'm just saying a lot of older people are arresting their hearts. Like they're going into the shock. But I mean, obviously there's pre-existing issues. They're always just saying to people, listen, if you're going to do this and you're 60 plus years old, check with your doctor. That's the only reason I'm issuing a warning on our show is because Cynthia Loist, she is a fucking cold plunger for life now.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to her, don't tell me you're going to cold plunge. Like she does it.
I've done
She's
them.
addicted.
Yeah, I'm not
but
addicted.
I think we would be remiss not to say to people, don't go just jump in a goddamn lake. Check with your doctor.
Plunge safely, everyone.
No, our audience may not be under 30. That's all I'm telling you, Jax.
Absolutely. And you know
You
what?
are the youngest person on this podcast.
You know what? I hate cold plunging and I don't trust it. I think, fuck cold plunging, okay?
No, I'm just saying. No,
Excuse
cold
my
plunging
language,
is great.
sorry.
And I think it's really, in Banff, they have cold, colder, and coldest. No, they have like 3. You can start out kind of cold and then get colder and then fucking go coldest. Or you can go the other way. You can go coldest, colder, cold, and then get into the goddamn hot tub. Am I being the harbinger of doom? Have I ruined our?
No, I just
I
like
have.
that.
I'll stick to walking around the city.
Okay, so
I'll
stick
stick
to
to walking
walking.
around the city. Yeah.
She wants you on dry land.
Yeah,
Jane's
no.
concerned about our cardiovascular
You know what
health,
though?
and
You know what? I
appreciate
didn't
that.
get sober to die in the lake. You're
That's
right.
true.
You're right. You're
Wait,
absolutely
so do you
right.
cold
but you're
plunge in
fine.
Lake Ontario?
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
I
but-
imagined you went to like Other Ship or something like that.
I'd love to go to Other
See,
Ship,
yeah.
but like the pocket can't afford that all the
Okay,
time.
yeah, fine.
Cynthia Loist,
Yeah.
Other Ship.
Oh my God,
don't
so
hey, you
good.
can sponsor us.
Yeah,
They
Other
sure
Ship.
can. They have money.
Yeah, Other Ship. Let's talk.
Well, listen, Jax Irwin has been our guest, and we are going to be doing. Tell me, are we going to be doing a cold call with this woman?
We sure are going to be doing a cold call with this.
Okay, and how are we going to tell people what are we going to do to be seeing that? Is that going to be on Jax Irwin's?
So we'll put Jax's, all the links to Jax's socials and everything
Yes,
are
we're
going to be in
gonna
our
do
show
that.
notes. And also just look up Jax Irwin on social media. If you haven't already, go follow
JAX
JAX and fall in love
IRWIN.
and fall in love with her on these cold calls, because I'll tell you, they've become such a hit that Jax and I went to
Look at the
brunch
studio.
together. Yeah, first of all, look at the studio. Look at the women who are steaming curtains. But
No, there was a makeup artist. There's a snack table.
But
and
Jan, we went to breakfast, and when we were there, the breakfast place is known for their famous donuts. They came over with a plate of free donuts because they were like, we and our parents love your East Coast cold calls. And I was like, I'm sitting with a damn celeb right now. So
No.
It's true.
I paid them.
You
I
did?
paid
Oh,
them.
damn it.
Yeah, I paid them so you could tell
You've
the
been
story.
listening
Part
to
of Team
the
Jax.
Jax Irwin podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are so amazing, and I love you, and thank you for having me. And it's like I think I've teared up softly and then had to look away quite a few times. You are a legend.
I noticed.
And I love you guys both, and thank you for
love
having
you.
me on. Like tremendously kind.
Well, let's circle back, which is a slogan that I hate, but we're going to. I think we should check in with you in a couple months, see how 2025 is rolling out.
I love that.
And maybe our final thought before we say goodbye is, it's the new year. Did you have resolutions? Are you going to keep any of them, or are they something that you don't even give a shit about?
Like, did I have resolutions last year?
No, going
Or
into
going in?
2025. Like, this is our first episode
Yeah.
of 2025 and of season 5. No pressure.
Be brave.
Be brave.
Be brave. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Okay, Jax Irwin, this is Jann Arden Podcast. And if you're going to cold plunge, check with your doctor. And that's
And
all
if you're
I'm
over
saying.
60, just don't, okay?
Don't.
Yeah,
Just walk.
just don't do it.
Are you calling me old?
No, but you said that.
No, I'm serious.
No, I think you're
People
young and
plot-
beautiful.
They go in, they don't come out again.
I think
because
you're
their
a-
hearts have stopped.
I think you are a healthy mermaid, okay? A healthy cold plunging mermaid. And your heart's great.
Yeah. I've been here with Caitlin Green. My name is Jann Arden. Sarah Burke is on the floor, and hopefully you have heard her talking, but we're going to be hearing from Caitlin and Sarah because we got to do some Patreon content because we're going to be doing that somehow, some way. I don't know where or
We'll
when.
figure it out.
Maybe we can do it. Maybe we can do it in Jax Irwin.
We'll go
has
into
the
the-
biggest, nicest tub. It's a
That's where
it's
we're
a
going.
soaker, and I would cold plunge in there.
Yeah?
Like, just with cold tap water. I would go in fully clothed with Crocs, and that would be the extent of my cold plunging.
I filled it up with mayo one time. I'll show you that later, too.
Holy shit.
On that note,
Okay, that's all we got time for today. Jax Irwin, thank you so much. Jann Arden Podcast. Feel free to sponsor us. Become a Patreon member. $5 a month gets you so much bonus content. You saw me blowing my nose and things like that here. Just imagine what the extra content is like. We go all out. And we're going to have a book club. What else are we doing, Caitlin, this year?
I don't know. Maybe we're
gonna have live events?
We'll do a topless episode. I'm just kidding. I don't know. We'll go cold plunging with
There's
Jax.
no reason we can't do a show with brassieres on.
Okay.
You know, Wonder Bra. I wore my Wonder Bra on the plane to England. It had no wires. It's just a nice soft foamy thing. My boobs were so comfortable for 9 hours and 15 minutes. I forgot that I had a bra on. In fact, when I woke up and went to the bathroom on the plane, I got in there and I was kind of brushing my teeth. You know how you refresh
freshening up,
yourself
yeah.
after? One of my breasts had come out of the cup. It was so comfortable that I didn't even realize that I had my right breast out of the cup.
On the run.
And
On
I'm
the
like,
run?
No, what concerned me, Jax, is like, do I not have sensation? Am I lacking sensation to know that the support just released itself and now I have one breast out and one breast up?
That's how comfortable the bra is.
That's how comfortable they are. I think you can just wear them under your... Anyway. God damn it. This has been the Jann Arden Podcast. Caitlin Green, Jax Irwin. We'll see you next time. Toodly-doo.
Do you have little hands?